Super Metroid is one of those games that you're going to hear a lot of people on the internet saying that they really like this game. Super Metroid is probably one of the most critically acclaimed SNES games of all time. IGN named it number 3 in their top 100 games of all time list back in 2003 and also scores it 9.5 out of 10. Games Players magazine scores it at 97%. It also placed first on both GamesRadar's and ScrewAttack.com's list of best SNES games of all time, beating out even The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Super Mario World, Chrono Trigger, and Donkey Kong Country. Even Nintendo Power calls it the best in the Metroid franchise. Superplay magazine had several editors review the game. One editor noted that the game was even better than his favorite game, Mega Man X, describing Super Metroid as more of an experience than a game, and felt that the game was best experienced when played in the dark with the volume turned up. Another editor wrote that Super Metroid contained everything he looked for in a video game: playability, hidden tricks, powerful weapons, and steamingly evil baddies. For players who have never played Super Metroid, IGN.com claims that they owe themselves as gamers to finally find out what you've been missing all these years. So what is it about Super Metroid that makes all these magazines, websites, critics, and gamers all adore it? I mean, many old games are revered but suffer from not having aged well. Has Super Metroid suffered the same fate? Are we all blinded by 90s good times and nostalgia, and just unwilling to accept the flaws that this game has? Well, no, I don't think so. I don't think nostalgia plays too heavily into people's opinions of the game, and even when it does, I don't think that it invalidates their opinions. But why is that? Maybe I only say that because, see, I actually only played Super Metroid for the first time near the beginning of 2015, 21 years after the game's release. I did my best to try and avoid spoilers and walkthroughs so that I could really experience the game to its fullest, and I absolutely loved it. Nearly every minute of this game was golden to me. In my personal opinion, Super Metroid took everything Nintendo knew about making 2D, side-scrolling adventure goodness and refined it to its absolute fullest. The result is near perfection. Now, the game is not 100% perfect, obviously, but no game is without its flaws. However, they are so small and few and far between that you might not even notice them. But you will be hearing this tune a lot.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
The story of Super Metroid straddles this very fine line in that it is deep enough to be invested in it, but simple enough that it's not the only thing that the game is focused on, and it's not all that matters to us as the player. It's easy to follow, but still works well as a good story that strays away both from being cliché and convoluted. So Samus recalls for us her time from the last 2 games in the series, defeating Mother Brain by absolutely wrecking her with missiles, and going over to planet SR-388 and completely annihilating the entire Metroid race. Save for one infant Metroid, who she spares and takes back to the Ceres space colony for research purposes. The scientists there find that the powers of the creature can be used for the good of the Galactic Federation. Satisfied that all is well, Samus leaves the station to find a new bounty to hunt. She's barely taking off when she receives a distress signal. The space station is under attack. Samus doubles back, but only to find that all of the scientists were killed, and the infant Metroid is nowhere to be seen. Proceeding through the station, we find Samus's rival, Ridley, who escapes the station with the Metroid. Samus escapes and chases Ridley to planet Zebes, the base of operations for the infamous space pirates. The mission is to recover the baby Metroid, but Zebes is a dangerous planet, full of catacombs, teeming with hostiles. There's this real raw, awesome atmosphere and emotions in this part of the game. The Ceres space colony feels like a scene taken right out of the Alien movies, with the empty dark corridors of the station serving as a tutorial to prepare you both for how to play the game, but also what to expect. Dead scientists that you just saw alive in the opening cutscene raises the tension even higher, and the baby Metroid is missing, which makes you wonder for a moment if it escaped and killed everybody. This puts a lot of guilt on you, the player, since you brought it there. Were you responsible for all of this? The first enemy you encounter, being a boss fight against Ridley, is there to show you combat basics, and also, he is actually impossible to beat. This is intentional and the first step in what I call Samus's growth plan. The first area on Zebes, Crateria, is full of empty caverns and mystery. Between the pouring rain and atmospheric music, you feel absolutely isolated and alone. This feeling is something that many people cite to be a defining feature of the Metroid franchise. You soon find your way underground into the destroyed Torian area from the first Metroid game, entering down through the giant shaft that you had escaped from previously, going down to the old boss room, complete with the wreckage of Mother Brain's capsule. I find this really cool because it's easily recognizable and you can feel the effects that Samus has had on this place previously. It's completely in ruins and abandoned, furthering that sense of being alone. Making your way down farther, you find yourself in even more areas from Metroid 1, and I seriously love this touch because it really helps connect these two titles so well as being a part of the same story. Once you find the Morph Ball, which is in the same place as it was in Metroid 1, suddenly this camera eyeball thing, it turns on and it just starts watching you. And there's a few of these present in the rooms around here, plus those angry statues that look at you, giving you the feeling that, well, you're being watched now. Suddenly you're not alone, and you're probably not safe. You start to feel the planet sort of waking up, and hostile enemies start appearing. Going back to the destroyed Torian again, you are suddenly ambushed by space pirates, and the music goes from alone to danger. Also, when you find the Chorizo boss, it looks just like all of the other Chozo statues, but then it comes to life to attack you. This put me on so much edge, because after that it felt like just about anything could suddenly turn hostile on me, adding further to that feeling that you're on your own here. There are no allies for you. It's you versus the whole world. And this is where that growth plan I mentioned starts, because you failed to beat Ridley and save the baby Metroid. It shows us, the player, how much more powerful your enemies are than you. So later in the game, near the end, when, spoilers, sorry, you do get to kill Ridley. You feel so good and so powerful. See, over the course of the game, you've been collecting all these power-ups and upgrades and expansions. At the beginning of the game, you couldn't really hurt him, and now you're completely annihilating him with missiles. I know a lot of games do this sort of growth plan, but it's honestly a great way of framing development as well as providing motivation for the player. I mean, you want to become stronger to beat this guy. You want to collect missiles to blast back in his face later, and when you succeed, you feel this payoff for all the hard work you've put in so far, and it's awesome. Super Metroid's gameplay is really well polished. It's really so good. Nintendo knows how to make tight, responsive controls, and I don't think I need to explain why that's really important in a game. More on that though is how the game teaches you how to play. The game foregoes long and uninteresting tutorials and instead subtly teaches the player how it works through its carefully designed areas. The opening area has these small steps to get you acquainted with Samus's jumping mechanics, which is good because most players might be more familiar with this sort of free-form jumping of games like Super Mario Bros. And the momentum that Samus carries is very different from Mario's. There's no text boxes, no NPCs interrupting you, just you figuring these things out in areas carefully designed to get you familiar with these physics. Another great example is when you acquire an item called the Speed Booster. The room right before that is this long empty hallway and the floor crumbles beneath your feet, so to avoid the fall and continue through the room, you have to pull a Mario, hold down that B button, and sprint right through the room. This is something you probably already know how to do at this point in the game. Then in the next room, you get the Speed Booster. The only thing the game tells you about it is to press and hold the B button, but given the name of the item and what we already know about running, you can kind of figure the rest out. But then you have to go back in through the way you came, and now not only is the floor crumbling, but now lava is rising as well. So given the situation, naturally the player's instinct is to run, and that's how we learn that we run at Sonic speed now. Not much further through the game, you come across this long hallway that you couldn't get through before because of the blocks in the room. But now you're coming in from the other side, and because it's such a long empty hallway, you probably start to sprint down it. And suddenly, you're destroying the blocks in your way, as well as the enemies in this room. And that's how you learn that using the Speed Booster is also lethal. Later again, you find this room and you figure out, yeah, you can probably destroy these blocks too. So you run through them, but at the end of them is this ramp, so you jump just out of instinct. And that's how you learn that with this item charged, your jump is crazy now. Now you've learned that you can run super fast, break blocks, kill enemies, and jump crazy high with this item charged, and nobody told you that. The only text we were given is to press the B button. Instead of telling you all of this and bogging you down with tons of information and tutorials, the developers carefully designed the world to teach you this, and you feel even more rewarded for it because you figured it out on your own, without someone telling you. And the game does this with just about every item you acquire. Jumping a little ahead, when you reach Meridia, there's this sort of globby enemy that it takes way too much effort to kill for a globby enemy. But when you kill it, you go into the next room, and here are all these enemy space pirates, and they are untouchable. Then you find the plasma beam, and you are locked in the room, and the door will only open after fighting these guys. But suddenly, they're a joke with your new weapon. Back to those globby enemies, suddenly, they're easily destroyed too, because the plasma beam can go through and affect more than one enemy. The game doesn't tell you that the plasma beam can do that, but it crafts for you the conditions where you will discover it for yourself. Super Metroid is packed with secrets for the keen completionist to hunt, and this adds further to that growth plan I was talking about, because every secret you find upgrades Samus in some way. Energy tanks to increase your health, expansion packs to increase the amount of missiles you can carry, power bombs, even an X-ray scope to help you find more hidden items or passageways. One criticism I hear about the first Metroid game is that many of its passages and secrets are hidden too cryptically. The game gives you no hints about how to find these, and ultimately, when some of the power-ups are near mandatory, it's not really fair to the player. Super Metroid seems to have also rectified this problem. Even something subtle like a crack in the wall or a slight discoloration can lead you to a secret. These kinds of clues are there to give you an idea that something could be there, but figuring out how to get it is up to you, the player, to figure out. But those aren't the only secrets the game holds. There are secret moves in the game that you can perform. Yes, there is the wall jump and the shine spark, which you can learn in hidden areas in the game, but also ones that the game doesn't even tell you about, leaving the player free to explore both the world and to discover these techniques, like the crystal flash, bomb spreading, this charge beam pseudo screw attack thing, bomb jumping, and various charge beam combos that you can do. And these are not mandatory to beat the game, but just fun bonuses for the keen gamer. More on freedom, the world of Super Metroid is massive and open. There are tons of hidden passages and more than one route to connect each area, meaning that there's more than one way to go through the game and many ways to beat it, only adding more to the replay value. And thanks to all those secret moves and techniques I mentioned, it's possible to find new ways around obstacles that you never thought of before. I cannot stress enough that the replay value of this game is incredibly high. Now I'm gonna talk about the ending of the game here. So now you're a super powerful badass, Samus, and you've acquired all these amazing badass power-ups and found your way to the lowest point in Norfair. Here's where we meet Ridley again, but this time you have become so powerful that you just blow him into a new threshold of pain. Missile pain. It's now a real thing. You made it a thing. Nice work. He's challenging, but remember, you couldn't even really damage him before, and now you're putting up a really good fight. And finally you win. This is what you've been working for. And the Metroid is finally still missing. Your baby Metroid is unaccounted for, and you need to find it. Well, something you may have picked up on is that there is a lot of exploration and backtracking so far in the game. You might find yourself revisiting old areas again. The thing about this is that in Super Metroid, no two rooms are really alike. The game designer specifically put in interesting and memorable rooms so that you would feel like, hey, this place looks important. I should come back here sometime when I have what I need. The place we need to go is this room with these statues, of course. You as the player might have found yourself revisiting them a few times. Or, I mean, at least I did. Every time you defeat a boss, the statue of that boss seems to react. And so I felt like I had to keep going back to check on it when I beat that boss. So with Ridley out of the way, you go back and discover a new route open, with access to the new Torian. Yes, the Space Pirates have been rebuilding their facility. However, you do not find any Space Pirates in this area. Instead, it is filled with the clones of the baby Metroid. And they are dangerous. And of course, they want to kill you. And these aren't like the failed clones that you found earlier in the game that die super easily. These guys need to be frozen with the ice beam and shot with 5 missiles. By the way, the game doesn't actually tell you that, so have fun just sort of shooting at them, trying to figure that out. You're ambushed by these giant side hoppers, which are basically impossible to kill, so you just kind of move on. Finally, you find this room with what seems to be dried out husks of other enemies that just fall apart when touched. Then, this giant mother of all Metroids appears. This guy just cripples one of those giant side hoppers that you couldn't even scathe, and then it comes after you. And notice that this is not a cutscene. You can run, you can react and fight back, but you can't win. The developers specifically left it so that you have to experience this moment, not just witness it. The thing attacks you and completely drains your health all the way down to 1 point, but then it stops? Yes, this is the baby Metroid, but it recognizes you. You, Samus, were the one that spared this Metroid's life previously, and it very well could have imprinted on you. You were the first contact it had after hatching from its egg, and it's possible that it thinks it's just attacked its mother by mistake. So the baby basically flees in shame. Soon it's time for the final battle. You bust your way through all those clones and gun turrets and these donuts, I guess, and you find Mother Brain, and she is really easy. Think of all those giant monstrosities you've fought so far, and this is a brain in a jar. I almost feel bad because it's practically defenseless, and oh, I take it back. Mother Brain is not going down without a fight this time, and she is packing a heavy punch. You can deal a ton of heavy damage for sure, but her hyper beam is too powerful for Samus. And can I note again that just like your first fight with Ridley, and just like a moment ago when the Metroid attacked you, this is not a cutscene. You are forced to play through this moment. You don't just witness Mother Brain overpowering you, you have to experience it. But then, the baby Metroid is back, and it attacks Mother Brain, totally draining her. The Metroid heals you and transfers Mother Brain's powerful Hyper Beam weapon to you. But sadly, Mother Brain destroys the baby Metroid. Its last action, as the last of its kind, the race that you were assigned to completely destroy, was to save you. And now you have the means to defeat Mother Brain. And to bookend the entire game, we're put back in the same scenario again. Time bomb set, evacuate immediately. With the entire planet set to explode, we can feel the growth in Samus's trials. This isn't Escape the Space Station anymore. The whole planet is gonna go. Don't forget your friends. Finally, we escape. With the Metroids, the clones, Mother Brain, the baby, all of it behind you now. A thrilling, amazing end to an amazing game. But do you know what? From a gameplay perspective, this fight is really easy. This ending is really, really easy. We've faced harder trials before. We've gone through way worse. Is this some sort of cop-out? Well, I don't think so. So you remember what I've been saying about what makes this game so great? Yes, the gameplay is challenging and interesting and well-designed, but more so, it is about your experience with the game. It's about the tone and the feelings you go throughout your journey. The sense of starting small and growing to be more powerful. The feeling that you're all alone in this journey and you have to overcome fierce adversaries. The optimism that you feel exploring Brinstar. The feeling of danger lurking in the corridors of Norfair. And the ending, well, given the story, it just makes sense to me. It's a tale of sacrifice, and it makes you feel really sad about the baby Metroid dying. I think this game is well summarized from that editor's note at the beginning. Super Metroid is more of an experience than a game.